So what do you get when you put Flatliners, Pet Sematary, and Lucy together into one horror movie? You get the Lazarus Effect. The Lazarus Effect, directed by David Galeb, starring Olivia Wilde, Mark Duplass, Evan Peters, Donald Glover, and Sarah Bolger. This movie is about a science team developing a Lazarus serum that they want to use on coma patients to help wake them up. But to test it first, they want to test it on dead animals to see if it can bring back the dead, bring the dead back to life. And if successful, they'll test it on humans. So they test it on a dead dog, and they're able to bring this dog back to life. But once the school, the university that's funding their experiments, finds out what they're doing, they decide to cut the funding and take all their research. So they are desperate and they want to further their experiments and prove that they are the ones that discovered this drug and that can bring life into the dead, that they decide to duplicate the experiment, even though the dog that they have brought back is very aggressive now and doesn't eat very much. The dog doesn't act the way it did when it was alive. They decide to duplicate it, but when they try, one of the scientists gets electrocuted so badly, Olivia Wilde's character Zoe, to the point that she dies. So Mark Duplass, considering that this is his fiancée, Mark Duplass is so desperate, Frank, that he decides to use the Lazarus serum on her to bring her back from the dead. Of course, he is successful, and things go horribly wrong when she comes back, and she's not the same. She developed these superpowers, telekinesis, and telepathy. And we have our horror movie, which is not a very good horror movie. This movie is so generic and so cliched, right down to the first person that dies. If you've seen the trailer, you know the first person that dies is Donald Glover, the black character. Oh wow, how cliched is that? And it's just not a good movie. I didn't really like this movie that much. There was some creepy imagery in this movie, but really it's not that scary, which is a shame because the characters in this movie are pretty likable, with the exception of Evan Peters' character, Clay. He is pretty much a douchebag in the movie, but the rest of them are pretty likable, including Sarah Bolger's character Eva. But it's just not a good movie. I'm going to give this movie a D. Don't see this movie.